A poor single dad let a wet woman wait in his shop. She turned out to be a billionaire investor. The rain hammered against the windows of Jackson's electronics repair like an angry drummer, turning the streets of Detroit's Corktown neighborhood into rushing rivers. Inside the small shop, 32-year-old Marcus Jackson worked by the warm glow of his desk lamp, carefully soldering a circuit board with the precision of someone who'd been doing this work for over a decade. Marcus was a striking man, tall and lean with rich dark skin, kind brown eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, and hands that spoke of honest work. His close-cropped hair was beginning to show the first hints of gray at the temples, a testament to the stress of raising his 8-year-old son Damon alone while keeping his struggling business afloat. "Dad, I finished my homework," called Damon from the back office where he did his schoolwork every evening while Marcus closed up shop. The boy was the spitting image of his father, same warm eyes, same brilliant smile, and already showing the same gentle nature that made Marcus beloved in their tight-knit community. "Let me see it, buddy," Marcus replied, setting down his soldering iron. He was reviewing Damon's math worksheet when a tremendous crack of thunder shook the building, followed immediately by the lights flickering ominously. "Whoa, that was close," Damon exclaimed, pressing his face to the rain-streaked window. Marcus glanced at his watch, 7:30 p.m. He should have closed an hour ago. But Mrs. Rodriguez from down the street needed her radio fixed for her late husband's favorite jazz station, and he couldn't bring himself to charge her full price. Again, as he reached for the light switch to lock up, movement outside caught his eye. Through the sheets of rain, he could see a figure huddled under the narrow overhang of the abandoned building next door. The person, a woman, he realized, was pressed against the brick wall, soaked to the bone and shivering visibly. Without hesitation, Marcus unlocked his front door and stepped into the downpour. Ma'am, are you okay?" The woman looked up, and even through the rain and darkness, Marcus could see she was stunning. She appeared to be in her early 40s, with beautiful dark skin glistening with rainwater, natural hair that had been elegant before the storm hit, and intelligent eyes that held a mixture of surprise and gratitude. "I'm fine, thank you," she called back, though her chattering teeth suggested otherwise, "just waiting for the rain to let up." "This storm's supposed to last all night," Marcus shouted over the thunder. "Please, come inside and dry off. I've got coffee." The woman hesitated for a moment, studying his face. There was something about Marcus's expression, genuine, concern without any ulterior motive, that made her decision for her. "Are you sure? I don't want to impose." "No imposition at all." "Come on." Marcus held the door open as the woman hurried inside, her expensive heels clicking on the wet pavement. Once in the warm, well-lit shop, Marcus could see she was even more beautiful than he'd first thought, with high cheekbones and an elegant bearing that spoke of confidence and success. Her clothes, a tailored navy suit and silk blouse, were clearly expensive, though now thoroughly soaked. "Thank you so much," she said, accepting the towel Marcus offered. "I'm Adrienne Williams. Marcus Jackson, and this is my son Damon." Marcus gestured to the boy, who had emerged from the back office with characteristic curiosity. "Hi, Miss Adrienne," Damon said with the easy friendliness of a child who'd been raised right. "Dad always helps people. That's what good neighbors do." Adrienne smiled, charmed by the boy's directness. "Your father sounds like a very good man. He's the best dad in the whole world," Damon declared matter-of-factly. "Want some hot chocolate? Dad makes the best hot chocolate in Detroit." "Damon, Miss Williams probably has somewhere she needs to be," Marcus said gently, though he was already moving toward the small kitchenette in the back corner of his shop. "Actually, hot chocolate sounds perfect," Adrienne said, wrapping the towel around her shoulders. "And please, call me Adrienne." As Marcus prepared 3 mugs of hot chocolate, Adrienne looked around the shop with genuine interest. The space was small but immaculately organized. with shelves lined with carefully labeled parts, a workbench that spoke of years of dedicated craftsmanship, and customer testimonials taped to the wall. It was clear this was more than just a business. It was a labor of love. "How long have you had the shop?" she asked, accepting the steaming mug gratefully. "About 6 years now," Marcus replied, settling into the chair across from her. "Started it right after my wife passed. Figured I needed something that would let me be here for Damon after school." "I'm sorry for your loss," Adrienne said softly. "Thank you. It's been challenging, but we're doing okay, aren't we, Dee?" Damon nodded enthusiastically. "Dad fixes everything. Phones, computers, radios, even Mrs. Chun's old TV that nobody else could fix. People come from all over because Dad's the best." Adrienne noticed the pride in the boy's voice and the way Marcus's face lit up at his son's words. "What kind of things do you repair?" "Pretty much anything electronic," Marcus explained. "Started with cell phones and computers, but word got around that I don't give up easy. Now I get vintage radios, old gaming systems, you name it. If it plugs in and it's broken, people bring it to me. Business must be good then." Marcus hesitated, and Adrienne caught the slight tension that crossed his features. "It's steady, enough to keep the lights on and food on the table. Can't ask for much more than that." But Adrienne had spent years in business, and she could read between the lines. The shop was spotless, but clearly operating on a shoestring. Budget. Marcus's clothes were clean and well-maintained, but showed their age. And she'd noticed the stack of past-due notices partially hidden under some receipts on his desk. "Dad never charges people what the big stores charge," Damon chimed in innocently. "He says helping people is more important than making lots of money." "Damon," Marcus said gently, a slight flush creeping up his neck. "What? It's true. Remember when Mr. Peterson's pacemaker remote broke and he couldn't afford to replace it? You fixed it for free." Adrienne felt something shift in her chest. In her world of boardrooms and profit margins, genuine altruism was rare. "That was very kind of you." Marcus shrugged, clearly uncomfortable with the praise. Man needed his medical equipment to work. Wasn't really a choice. They sat in comfortable conversation for the next hour, the storm raging outside while warmth filled the small shop. Adrienne found herself genuinely enjoying their company. Damon's infectious enthusiasm and Marcus's quiet dignity created an atmosphere she rarely experienced in her high-stakes business world. "Your phone's been buzzing," Marcus observed, nodding toward Adrienne's expensive smartphone on the counter. Adrienne glanced at it and saw dozens of missed calls and messages. Her driver, her assistant, her security team, all frantically trying to locate her after her car had broken down in an unfamiliar neighborhood. "Work emergency?" Marcus asked. "Something like that," Adrienne replied vaguely. "I should probably call for a ride in this weather." "Good luck finding someone who'll come out here tonight," Marcus said, looking out at the continued downpour. "Look, I've got a couch in the back office. You're welcome to wait here until the storm passes or until morning, whichever comes first." "I couldn't impose like that." "You're not imposing," Marcus said firmly. "Besides, Damon would never forgive me if I sent you back out in that storm. Would you, buddy?" "Nope," Damon declared. "Miss Adrienne has to stay safe and warm." Adrienne looked between the father and son, these two beautiful souls who had opened their home to a complete stranger without asking for anything in return. In her world, every gesture came with strings attached, every kindness had a price. But here, in this modest repair shop in Detroit, she'd found something she'd almost forgotten existed: genuine human goodness. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Both of you. This means more than you know." As the evening wore on, they talked about everything and nothing. Damon's dreams of becoming an engineer like his father, Marcus's pride in his son's academic achievements, and Adrienne's carefully edited stories about her work in business consulting. She found herself laughing more than she had in months, charmed by their easy warmth and genuine care for each other. What Marcus and Damon didn't know was that the woman they'd sheltered from the storm was Adrienne Williams, founder and CEO of Williams Venture Capital, with a personal net worth of over $2 billion. She'd been on her way to evaluate a potential investment property when her car broke down, and she ducked into the first available shelter. But as she watched Marcus patiently help Damon with a difficult math problem and saw the love that radiated between father and son, despite their obvious financial struggles, Adrienne began to form an idea that would change all their lives forever. The next morning dawned bright and clear, as if the previous night's storm had washed the world clean. Adrienne woke on the small couch in Marcus's back office to the sound of gentle voices and the smell of coffee brewing. Through the partially open door, she could see Marcus helping Damon get ready for school, packing his lunch, checking his backpack, and listening patiently to an animated story about yesterday's science class. "Morning, Miss Adrienne," Damon called when he spotted her. "Dad made pancakes. Well, he made pancake. We only had enough mix for one, but he cut it in half for us to share." Adrienne's heart clenched at the casual mention of their limited resources, delivered without a trace of self-pity or embarrassment. "That's very sweet of him," she replied, smoothing her wrinkled suit and wishing she had a mirror. "There's a bathroom right through there if you'd like to freshen up," Marcus offered, pointing down a narrow hallway. "And I put some coffee on." 20 minutes later, after Damon had left for school with a cheerful goodbye and a hug for both adults, Adrienne sat across from Marcus at his small workbench, nursing a cup of surprisingly good coffee. "I can't thank you enough for last night," she began. "Your kindness to a complete stranger." "Anyone would have done the same thing," Marcus interrupted. But Adrienne shook her head. "No, Marcus, they really wouldn't have." She paused, studying his face. "Can I ask you something? What are your dreams? For this place? For your business?" Marcus looked surprised by the question. "My dreams? If money weren't an object, if you could expand or improve in any way, what would you do?" Marcus was quiet for a moment, his gaze moving around his beloved shop. "I'd love to offer classes," he said finally. "Teach kids in the neighborhood basic electronics, computer repair. Give them skills they could use to build a future. And maybe expand the shop, hire a few people, create some jobs in the community." "What's stopping you?" Marcus gave her a wry smile. "Same thing that stops most dreams: money. Equipment for classes would cost thousands, expansion would require a bigger space, and hiring employees means I'd need steady enough income to pay them. Right now I'm just keeping my head above water." Adrienne nodded thoughtfully. "Marcus, I need to tell you something, and I hope you'll hear me out completely before you respond." Something in her tone made Marcus look up sharply. "My name is Adrienne Williams, and I'm the founder and CEO of Williams Venture Capital. I invest in businesses with potential, particularly those owned by people who share my values." Marcus blinked, processing this information. "You're saying you're some kind of businesswoman?" "I'm saying I'm a billionaire businesswoman who's been looking for the right investment opportunity, and I think I found it." The coffee mug slipped from Marcus's suddenly nerveless fingers, but he caught it before it hit the floor. "I'm sorry, what?" Adrienne pulled out her phone and showed him her company's website, then several news articles featuring her photo. Marcus stared at the screen, then at her, then back at the screen. "You're serious?" "Completely serious. Marcus, last night you showed me something I rarely see in my world: genuine kindness without expectation of reward. You and Damon opened your home to a stranger, shared your food, gave up your comfort, and asked for nothing in return. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. But I don't understand. You're a billionaire. Why would you want to invest in a tiny repair shop in Detroit?" Adrienne leaned forward, her eyes bright with excitement. Because it's not just a repair shop. It's a community resource run by someone who genuinely cares about helping people. Do you know how rare that is? How valuable? She pulled out a tablet and began showing him pictures and plans. I've been looking for the right person to partner with on a project I'm passionate about. A network of community technology centers. Places where people can get their devices repaired affordably, learn new skills, and access technology training. I want to start with your shop as the flagship location. Marcus stared at the detailed plans. A beautiful expanded space with classroom areas, modern equipment, and room for a full staff. This is incredible, but I don't have the money for anything like this. You don't need money, Marcus. You have something more valuable: integrity, skill, and a genuine desire to help your community. I provide the capital, you provide the heart and expertise. We build something amazing together. I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. The initial investment would be $500,000, enough to completely renovate and expand this space, purchase state-of-the-art equipment, and provide operating capital for the first 2 years. You'd maintain controlling interest and complete operational authority. I'm not looking to take over your business, Marcus. I'm looking to help it become everything it could be. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his mind reeling. Why me? You could invest in anyone, anything. Because yesterday, when you saw a stranger in need, your first instinct was to help. Because your son talks about you like you're a superhero, and from what I've seen, he's not wrong. Because Mrs. Rodriguez and Mr. Peterson and Mrs. Cheadle trust you with their most precious possessions, and that trust is earned, not bought. She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the bustling street. I've spent the last 20 years making money, Marcus. I'm very good at it. But I've never been part of something that genuinely changes lives in the way this could. You're not just fixing electronics, you're fixing people's connections to the world, preserving their memories, keeping them in touch with their families. That's not just business, it's ministry. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. Adrienne, this is beyond generous, but I need to ask, what's in it for you? She turned back to him with a smile that was both sad and hopeful. I never had children, Marcus. Never found the right person. Never made the time. I've built an empire, but I've never built a legacy. This partnership, this network of community centers, it could be my legacy. But more than that, last night I saw what real family looks like. I saw what it means to put others first. I'd like to be part of that, if you'll have me. 3 hours later, after phone calls to lawyers and accountants, after careful review of contracts and business plans, Marcus Jackson signed a partnership agreement that would transform not just his business, but his entire life. 6 months later, the grand opening of the first Jackson Williams Community Technology Center drew crowds from across Detroit. The expanded space was beautiful, bright, modern, and welcoming, with repair stations, classrooms, and a computer lab where local kids were already learning coding and electronics. Damon, now sporting a small junior technician badge, proudly gave tours to visitors, explaining how the 3D printer worked and showing off the robot he'd built in the after-school program. "Dad, look how many people came," he whispered to Marcus during a quiet moment. Marcus surveyed the crowd, customers old and new, local politicians, business leaders, and neighbors who'd become like family over the years. At the center of it all stood Adrienne, elegant in a burgundy dress, deep in conversation with the mayor about expanding the program to other neighborhoods. "It's pretty amazing, isn't it, buddy? The best part is that Miss Adrienne gets to be part of our family now," Damon said matter-of-factly. "She needed a family just like we needed help with the business. It worked out perfect." Marcus watched as Adrienne caught his eye across the room and smiled, the kind of smile that had become familiar over the past months, warm and genuine and full of the joy that came from building something meaningful together. "Yeah," he said, pulling his son close. "It worked out perfect. Later that evening, after the crowds had gone home and the shop was quiet, the three of them sat in Marcus's office sharing Chinese takeout and reviewing the day's success. "You know what the best part of today was?" Adrienne asked, setting down her chopsticks. "The mayor promising to help us expand Citywid?" Marcus suggested. "The interview with Channel 7? Damon offered. Adrienne shook her head, smiling. "The best part was Mrs. Rodriguez telling me that this place saved her life after her husband died. That your kindness and patience helped her feel less alone in the world. That's what we're really building here. Not just a business, but a community. A place where people matter." Marcus nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. "You know, if someone had told me a year ago that helping a stranger wait out a rainstorm would lead to all this, you'd have helped her anyway," Adrienne finished. "That's who you are, Marcus. That's who you raised Damon to be. And that's why this partnership works, because it's built on the same foundation as everything else in your life. Genuine care for other people." As they cleaned up and prepared to lock up for the night, Marcus reflected on how dramatically his life had changed. The financial stress was gone, his business was thriving, and Damon was flourishing in ways Marcus had only dreamed of. But more than that, they'd gained something he hadn't even known they were missing: a family member who understood their values and shared their dreams. "Same time tomorrow?" Adrienne asked as they walked to their cars. "Wouldn't miss it," Marcus replied. "We've got 3 more computers to fix and a coding class to prep for. And don't forget, tomorrow's pizza day," Damon added. Miss Adrienne promised to bring pizza for all the kids in the after-school program. As they drove away in separate directions, Marcus and Damon to their new house in a safer neighborhood, Adrienne to her downtown penthouse, all 3 carried with them the satisfaction that came from building something beautiful together. Sometimes, the best investments weren't measured in dollars and cents, but in lives changed, communities strengthened, and the simple knowledge that kindness really could change the world, one act of generosity at a time. The end.
Thank you for watching this story unfold with us here on M&A The Story Unfolds. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new tale. We'd love to know where you're watching. Leave a comment below and tell us what part of the world you're joining us from. Your support means everything. See you in the next story.